All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a totally fascinating story about mastering our absolute most unruly asset, our attention. I mean, we live in a world that is just full of noise, right? So, how do we tune it all out to actually achieve our goals? Well, today's source material breaks this down beautifully through the journey of a young boy. So, let me ask you, is your mind jumping around right now from thought to thought, kind of like a restless bird? It's a pretty great visual, isn't it? We have all been there. You sit down, you try to get some work done, and boom. Suddenly you're pulled away by your phone, a random notification, a video game, or you're just staring at the wall daydreaming. And that perfectly sets up the story of a kid named Kabir. Now, on paper, Kabir had everything going for him. He was incredibly smart, but he suffered big time from this exact restless bird syndrome. He literally just couldn't keep his mind in one place. Let's kick things off with part one, the restless mind. So, like I said, Kabir was a kid who possessed really high natural intelligence. But here's the catch. That intelligence was entirely neutralized by his complete inability to maintain focus. The source describes how, basically, whenever he tried to study or do anything important, his mind would just instantly scatter. He'd start thinking about his phone, his friends, what games he could be playing, you name it. It's a super classic modern dilemma. It's like having all this raw processing power in your brain, but absolutely no steering wheel to guide it. Well, his dad could see exactly what was happening, and he diagnosed the problem with this really powerful metaphor. He told him, "Son, your mind is like a wild horse. If you do not control it, it will take you in the wrong direction. Discipline your mind, and it will take you anywhere you want to go." Think about that. A wild horse has a ton of power and energy, just like Kabir's intelligence. But without the reins of discipline, that power is completely chaotic and, frankly, useless. But unfortunately, like a lot of us when we get good advice, Kabir just didn't take it seriously at first. Which brings us to part two, the glass of water. Realizing that just talking wasn't getting through to him, Kabir's dad decided to take action. He takes Kabir to meet Guruji. Now, Guruji is this wise old teacher in their village who's famous for training young people for success. And instead of giving Kabir some long, boring lecture, Guruji gives him a totally practical test, the garden challenge. He hands Kabir a small glass of water and gives him what seems like an incredibly simple task. He says, just walk around the garden holding this glass and do not spill a single drop. That's it, just a quick walk in the garden. But of course, it wasn't that simple. As soon as Kabir started walking, his erratic mind immediately betrayed him. The environmental distractions were just everywhere. We're talking birds chirping, the wind rustling the leaves, other kids laughing nearby. Now, normally that's just really pleasant background ambience, right? But for an undisciplined mind, they are absolute magnets pulling your attention away from the task at hand. Every single time Kabir's attention darted toward one of these noises, his hands would waver and water would just spill right over the edge of the glass. So by the time he finishes this walk and gets back to Guruji, the inevitable has happened. He had spilled so much water that the glass was literally half empty. When Guruji asked him why he spilled so much, Kabir just gave him the honest, simple truth. He said, "I got distracted." Now, Guruji didn't yell at him. Instead, he masterfully reframed this physical failure into this profound, unforgettable life lesson. He told Kabir, "This glass is like your goal, and the water is your focus. The distractions around you are like the noise of the world. If you do not discipline your mind to stay fixed on your purpose, you will lose everything before you know it." He basically just showed the kid the physical manifestation of his own mental state. Let's really break down the exact translation of that metaphor because it is crucial. The glass equals your goal, the water equals your focus, and distractions equal the noise of the world. Every single drop of water spilled was an ounce of focus completely wasted on irrelevant noise. Guruji was spelling out exactly what is at stake when we let the world's noise steal our attention. We aren't just losing time, we're draining our actual ability to achieve our goals. And for Kabir, the realization finally clicked. Okay, so what happens next? Let's look at part three, building new habits. Now, understanding the severe stakes, Kabir didn't just feel inspired for a day and move on. He actually decided to fundamentally change his reality. He started small. Step one, he started waking up at the exact same time daily just to establish a rhythm. Two, actively limiting his phone use. He cut out the primary source of that restless bird energy. Three, committing to giving his absolute full attention to whatever task was right in front of him. And four, practicing daily morning meditation to train his mind to be calm. He was actively moving from this erratic, reactive mind to a highly structured, proactive routine.
Now, I want to be super clear here. This wasn't instantly easy. There was a very real struggle. At first, his mind still wanted to wander all over the place. Those old habits fought back hard. But here's where the magic actually happens. The real discipline wasn't having a perfectly quiet mind from day one. The discipline was in the daily, repeated struggle of actively pulling his focus back to his work the exact moment he noticed it drifting. That pulling back motion, it's literally a mental push-up that builds your focus. And as those mental push-ups accumulated, things really started to change. Slowly, as the days turned into weeks, all that discipline compounded. Kabir began to see tangible results. He experienced a noticeably sharper memory, and his grades went way up. He was no longer leaking his water, his focus, all over the garden of distractions. He was pouring it entirely into his goals.
And that sets the perfect stage for Part 4, the ultimate test.
Fast forward 1 year later, and Kabir is facing a massive national competition that requires students to solve incredibly complex problems under strict time limits. As the competition kicked off, the contrast in that room was just night and day. On one hand, you had the mass panic of the other students. The tricky questions and the ticking clock caused them to completely lose their nerves. Their minds became those wild horses, running in absolutely every direction. But Kabir remained entirely unfazed. His approach was completely calm. He wasn't distracted by the noise, the pressure, or the sheer panic of his peers.
So, how did he do it? By remembering Guruji's lesson. He literally pictured that glass of water. He blocked out the immense pressure of the entire test and poured his absolute, undivided focus into one single question at a time. He wasn't thinking about the clock, he wasn't looking at the other students, and he wasn't stressing about the final score. He was only thinking about not spilling the drop of water that represented the immediate problem right in front of him. And man, did that methodical, highly disciplined approach pay off massively. When the results came out, Kabir was declared the national winner. Everyone in his village cheered, and Guruji smiled with deep, deep pride. The boy who previously couldn't even focus on a single page of reading was now a national champion, known throughout his village as the boy who finally mastered his own mind. Which leads us to our final takeaway in Part 5, your next chapter. Look, Kabir's journey isn't just a nice story. It's a blueprint for us. His victory proved definitively that a disciplined mind will always overpower raw talent, sheer intelligence, or random luck in the long run. Remember, at the very beginning, Kabir had high intelligence, but it was basically useless without focus. Talent is common. Real focus is rare. In a world that is competing for your attention every single second, the ability to actually command your own mind is the ultimate competitive advantage. It is so much stronger than any natural gift you might have been born with. The source material we reviewed today leaves us with this powerful reminder. Your own next chapter of success begins the exact moment you decide to discipline your attention. The glass of water is in your hands literally right now. So my final question to you is, are you going to keep letting the noise of the world make you spill your potential everywhere? Or will you start your next chapter today? Keep your eyes on the glass, friends. I'll catch you in the next explainer.